Thailand, the well-being land, land of growth and connectivity from local to regional and global. Land of business opportunities, land of food supplies, connecting from farm to table worldwide. Land of tranquility for body and soul, land of hospitality, connecting heart to heart. Unlimited investment opportunities. The Stock Exchange of Thailand. Make it work for everyone. Thailand, the well-being land, land of growth and connectivity from local to regional and global. Land of business opportunities, land of food supplies, connecting from farm to table worldwide. Land of tranquility for body and soul, land of hospitality, connecting heart to heart. Unlimited investment opportunities. The Stock Exchange of Thailand. Make it work for everyone. Thailand, the well-being land, land of growth and connectivity from local to regional and global. Land of business opportunities, land of food supplies, connecting from farm to table worldwide. Land of tranquility for body and soul, land of hospitality, connecting heart to heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our afternoon session. I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that you can find a summary of each session in a form of visual recording from Pictures Talk. Attached to the souvenir, you find a QR code that you can use your phone to scan to see those summaries. For the next session, it will be about connecting ASEAN and CLMV opportunities. We are honored to have Khun Vilawan Mangkalathanakull, Director General of the Department of Treaties and Legal Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Khun Chasili Sophonpanit, President of Bangkok Bank, Khun Chansin Trinuchakon, President and CEO of PTT Group, Mr. Sunil Jaktiani, Bangkok Bureau Chief of Bloomberg News, will be our moderator for this session. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite all the speakers and moderator on the stage, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here this afternoon. We're here to discuss Thailand's role as an investment gateway into emerging Southeast Asia and the wider ASEAN region. You could argue that it's never been more important to take advantage of these opportunities because As you've probably seen, there's a bit of a trade war raging between the US and China. So the risk is that this trade friction might be with us for some time, which makes the domestic and regional opportunities in Southeast Asia all the more important. But of course, the region remains still some way from being a fully integrated trading bloc with the kind of financial linkages that encourage faster economic growth. With me to discuss some of the issues is a very august panel. I believe, Kun Wilawan, you have a few introductory remarks you'd like to make, so perhaps we could begin with you.
So thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone here. And I'm quite honored to be invited to join all of you and to share our policy towards CLMV countries in the region, and also to share the same panel with this distinguished and very honored to be here. Thank you. So first of all, we are talking about ASEAN and we're talking about CLMV. I have to let you know first that ASEAN has been and always continue to be cornerstone for Thailand foreign policy. So in terms of the foreign policy, we have placed importance to ASEAN. And as you all know, this year we are hosting the ASEAN Summit in Thailand the whole year. And that's why ASEAN is relevant to Thailand. Of course, we start ASEAN, 50 years ago. It's economic policy that we are aiming for to have integrated among us. But of course, it's very essential for economic development, but stability is very important and is a prerequisite for any economic development in any region. And that's why ASEAN has born on that because of that. And since it was born in 1967, we have been promoting peace and stability and accelerate economic growth and social progress in the region. And that's why ASEAN is there to done the job. And it has been achieving with these 50 years. It has evolved from loosely association of countries to become a more rule-based organization. Now it's been international organization as it has covered, all aspects of development, economic development, political stability, and also social issue that we are focusing on. And that's ASEAN has been growing that way. So I'm having you look at the map that I try to make it myself. This map represents the integration forums, that economic integration forums that we're having at the moment. So you will see that Thailand is in the center of this, all cooperation. And as it has been, as for ASEAN, and now all economic developments has, to encompass Thailand. The reason for that is that, of course, geographically, you cannot ignore Thailand because we are a center of, region and sub-region. And secondly, because we have very unique, Thailand is very unique. Of course, we have a lot of problems within the countries, but we have a unique character and we have resources, both economic, that's important for economic, and also we have human resources and we have natural resources. And we are in the heart of this Southeast Asia. So that's something that development in the region have to take account of Thailand. And more than that, is our foreign policy is to engage. We would like to engage, with our neighbor countries and also all influential countries, in the regions and across the globe. I think that's the key. And it has been, throughout our years of development that will be cornerstone for Thailand, that we need to enhance our cooperation amongst different countries that are relevant to us. And that's the first thing that I like you to have some picture of. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kun Chansin, we saw how Thailand is geographically central to the region. For PTT and for you, what are the key opportunities that you see in CLMV? Is it about using the strong baht to invest more in the region, or is there a way of using Thailand as a gateway to benefit PTT?
Thank you, Sunil. May I introduce something about PTT? PTT is established in 1978. At the early of 1990, we export our product to Indochina country, inland Indochina country. That means the oil in terms of benzene, diesel, and lubricant. And the first time we export. But after that, we invest. After we really succeed in export the product. Today we invest, we have a first step to invest in Myanmar. We invest in exploration. This year maybe 30 years. In exploration about natural gas in the Gulf of, in the sea of the Myanmar Sea. And we have a true exploration and production in Sautika, Yadana, Yatakun, and send the natural gas from Myanmar to Thailand. Maybe one day allow 1,000 cubic feet per day for our power plant in the west side of Thailand. That is one of the big steps to invest in Myanmar that time. And we not only in the exploration, we invest in the gas and LNG in Thailand and connect to Myanmar. And after that, we invest in the retail. In retail. Now we have more than 280 service stations for the oil service station in Laos, in Cambodia, in Philippines, in Myanmar. Yes, and this is one of our investment in exploration. This is our natural gas pipeline connect to Myanmar and connect to Malaysia in the JDA Joint Development Area. And this is LNG tank. We will be the one of the center of LNG in Indochina. And our footprint in Asia in oil business, we have our service station, our lubricant, LPG, and Amazon, the retail station, in more than 6 countries in Asia. We step from that time in 1990, I think 1995, have a first step to the invest in service station there. Now today we have more than 280 service stations and more than 200 Amazon in Asia country. And this is our progress, and we still invest in this region because this region, maybe the GDP per capita will be increased every year. And in terms of the facility, the Bangkok Bank and a lot of Thai bank invest in this region. And at this time, a lot of logistics very good. We have bridge between the country. Yeah. And this is one of the GDP growth in ASEAN country. That is why PTT still expand and invest our business in ASEAN.
It's interesting you mentioned Myanmar first. Is that the country which you feel offers the most opportunity for you in emerging Southeast Asia?
We think we exhibit in Laos, we still invest in the hydropower. Maybe we send the electric to Thailand, in the northeastern of Thailand. And maybe COD, commercial operation, in maybe in the end of this year. And we still have a big investment in Myanmar because I think Myanmar is a very good opportunity in terms of the power and in terms of the oil and gas in Myanmar.
How much do you plan to invest in Myanmar? Do you have a number? Do you have a number set aside for how much you want to put there?
May I? Big, but not cannot tell you yes.
You won't tell me.
In the plan of
I won't tell anybody else,
yes.
I promise.
Thank you.
Kun Chatsiri, what do you think Thailand needs to do to take advantage of CLMV opportunities? From your perspective, at the head of one of the biggest banks, what do you think the country needs to do to take the full advantage of the kind of opportunities that Kun Chansin and Kun Willawan have laid out for us?
As the Governor Kun Chansin and the Director General Kun Willawan has mentioned, I think the ASEAN integration is probably the key point for growth and for regionalization. And because each country has its own strengths and capability, so the comparative advantage is probably at work at best, especially at this point. So Thailand is no longer a low-cost country. At the same time, our neighboring countries have abundant resources, natural resources and different markets. So many of the Thai companies are moving into the region. Not only the likes of PTT, SCG, Banpu Thai, but also TCC Group and so forth, but also medium-sized companies also moving into the region. At the same time, establish a new supply chain in the region. And bring prosperity to those countries. At the same time, they also buy more goods and investment into Thailand. So I think the integration is moving forward very well. And I think that would be good for all, compared to 30, 40 years ago when each country almost about the same. So one gain is one loss, but now it's not exactly that way. It can be quite complementary to each other.
So, and what's your strategy at Bangkok Bank to take advantage of the environment you've just described for us?
Because we have some 33 offices in some 15 countries throughout the world, apart from London and New York, the rest are basically in Asia. So we have been working with customers in Thailand as well as in the region, whether in Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and other Asian countries. And many of them are moving across the region, and we support them through our network. So sometimes we also do the business matching, making introduction to them, starting with the import-export, and sometimes joint venture with manufacturing and so forth. And also in the service sector, we see some of our customers building hotels, for example, in the Philippines, some in the food manufacturing in Indonesia, also many of them go into Myanmar, into Vietnam, and so forth. So I think we see greater integration. We also see some of our customers in China moving into Southeast Asia, and we also support their business in the region.
And within emerging Southeast Asia, which country would you pick out as the most attractive, both because maybe you're focusing there, but also based on what you can see your clients doing?
Each country has its own uniqueness. Indonesia being the largest of the ASEAN member with over 250 million people and the largest economy. And at the stage of development that I think over the next 10 to 20 years will be quite prominent with many of the natural resources. Vietnam is by all means at the moment probably the fastest growing of all the ASEAN members, and I think has very good prospect, especially with the demographic patterns and many of the investment that go into the country at this point. I think the Philippines also has another type of uniqueness, especially with their per capita income at 4,000 level and so forth. So they also, the consumption and so forth moving forward quite well, 4,000 to 5,000. So that's also changing pattern quite fast. Myanmar has abundant resources in all aspects. So even though there may be changes that still need to be going on in terms of the infrastructure, whether legal infrastructure and other components, but I think the country offers very good opportunities. So each one at different stage of the development and offer different opportunities. Cambodia, Laos in a similar manner.
Okay. Kun Willawan, are there particular multilateral initiatives that you think will help Thailand to make the most of these opportunities?
Yes, and as reflected by Kun Chasili, is that development in each country in the region, in ASEAN, has been growing in different level of development in terms of economics and also in terms of social development as well. So what Thailand has been doing is that, as I show you, when I was at the Department of Economic Affairs, we had to take care of 20 plus forum of international economic cooperation. So, and almost 15, about 15 is in the sub-Mekong region. So we don't know that figure, right? Because I was surprised when I was, taking the job, and I thought, oh my, why we have so many cooperation that we have, forum of cooperation in the sub-Mekong region. So that took me to look at more closely of the under ASEAN umbrella. We think that ASEAN has been developing and engaging in so many issues. As I said, it's not only economic. Now we are focusing on the social and also, world political issue as well. That has been spelled out, to the ASEAN region. So what we're trying to do is that we like to focus, in the sub-region, because at the moment there is a lot of help and assistance, coming to the CLMV countries, and we have main development partners. We have Japan, we have Korea, we have China, we have US, we have Australia, and we have India. That's already have forum of cooperation with CLMV countries. So what we're trying to do is that we will look at this and try to reorganize. So we use ACMEC as a platform, because ACMEC is a forum for 6 countries. So it's Thailand, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. And so all these 5 countries in the region already have this ACMEC for 20 years already. It's aimed for economic cooperation together. So now we pick it up when last year that we host the 8th summit in Bangkok. And we thought that we can revitalize ACMEC to make it work better in terms of helping CLMV countries to identify what kind of development and what kind of cooperation they are needed. So, and we are organizing a financing mechanism, because we think that in order to advance our economic cooperation or in some development, we need a very good financing mechanism, to help that project gone through. Although there's a lot of money coming into the region, but it's go to different, projects and things. So our ACMEC countries get together and try to figure out what is the priority that the country needs in terms of a project for development. And we have identified as a prioritized project for 5 for each country. So we have like 30 prioritized projects. And now we organize the mechanism toward that. We have established a fund, which we aiming for $500 million US, and Thailand already committed to put in 200 million as a seed money, for the fund. And we also have the parallel operations, which will be ACMEC infrastructure fund, and also ACMEC's financial for each project. Under this different mechanism, I don't have time to go to all these mechanisms, but under this mechanism, the aim is that we will identify project, and we look at the project together what kind of financing that we need, whether it need a grant from the government, is it need, but we want to have more private involvement in that. So we want it to be PPP, private, public-private partnership. That would be good. And then we will look at our each development partners, and they can, identify, whether they are interested in the project, and they can, help us in setting up the financing mechanism toward that, whether, and that should bring about, the completion of the project itself and in the more sustainable way and serve the countries.
Two questions on the fund. When
Right.
do you think it would be up and running, and how big do you think it needs to become to be effective?
What we are thinking is that when we are talking about the fund, a lot of people will say, oh my God, because, it's very difficult to develop, and how much you need to have a vast money, in order to finance a project or not. We are not thinking about that. We're thinking that the fund should serve for starting the project. For example, if I take an infrastructure project, then the fund money could be used for study, doing the feasibility study, and then we can consult, with our financing, Bangkok Bank, if interested in that project, we welcome, and then we will look at the modality for each project, what is served is best. And of course, that we are trying to establish the manager of the fund as well. At the moment, we have the forum, which is called Senior Financial Official. So it's at the DG level of each country to sit down together and discuss. But in the future, we should establish, institute to do this kind of job for us. And before we reach out to our development partners. And at the moment, we have 6 countries that already commit to become development partners. There are China, Japan, Korea, Australia, US, and also India. So all these 6 partners are partners who already have existing cooperation in ECMEC country already. But they will look at their strategy and their plan, and with the ECMEC country together, and we will look at the way how are we going to finance this project, what kind of project that they are going to take up. So we hope that we will have some example, maybe 2 or 3 projects before we're going to have the next ECMEC summit in Laos early next year, maybe March, next year, back to back with the CLMV meeting summit.
Okay, Kun Chansin, we've talked about the financing that the ministry is trying to put together for projects in the emerging Southeast Asian region. In the energy sector, where do you see the gaps in CLMV, and what do you think PTT can do to help fill those gaps? Is it about LNG distribution? Is it about power plants in Myanmar? Where do you think the best opportunities are for you?
May I have my slide, please? Let's see this picture about our natural gas pipeline and natural gas separation plant, and connect to the Myanmar and connect to the Malaysia. I think Myanmar and Malaysia is one of our resource, and our reservoir is very important for our national security, for produce the power plant and in Thailand. That is the best power plant in Thailand. And this is one of our big project. We want to develop gas to power in Myanmar, because in Myanmar maybe it need the power a lot. And we will develop one of the put and support our converter to convert the petrochemical and plastic producer in Myanmar. And we invest in the oil and gas tanks, big in oil and gas tank in Myanmar to do the develop our service station, our gas station, our retail station in Myanmar. That is our plan in Myanmar because we think Myanmar is one of very good future about the GDP per capita and very good in terms of the relation with PTT Group and Thailand. We have our strong point at that time. And this time I think the people we support the student for the technician student more than 7-8 years to come and join scholarship. Our scholarship we support the student that one. And now we very success about the relation and we prove everything we can do professionally in Myanmar. That is one thing. And I think in terms of in Thailand, we still have our excess supply about the refinery in Thailand. In Thailand, we have 6 refinery, and we can produce more than 1 million barrel per day. Okay, and we still have excess supply. So maybe allow after we produce the optimum, maybe we have 15% and 20% we can export. If we can export to inland Indochina, like Laos, Cambodia, south of China or Myanmar, that is our market to that country. And today is very good because logistics very good, and in terms of the custom system and the banking very good, better than my time. That is maybe 30 years ago. We have reached. We have not good in terms of financial system at that time. We have a back market about it. We have a problem with the exchange rate, everything. And now every country may be developed very fast, and the people is very high potential people in each country. That is opportunity.
I've heard lots of anecdotal stories about how hard it can be to do business in Myanmar. I can't possibly share the anecdotes with you or say who they concern because they're very senior people. But how difficult do you find doing business in Myanmar?
I think you need to fair to Myanmar, fair to this country. Maybe it's a step to transmission, step to set up the system and political system. But if you have good partner, the right partner, very important. And if you do invest for the interest of the country, and maybe you can stay with this one, interest the country and interest with the win-win position, you can do that. Yes.
Very, very diplomatic answer.
I can support the governor on that front. I think Myanmar, in many senses, is also like Thailand some years ago, but people there are quite friendly and also quite entrepreneurial, and they want to find their ways how to move forward and be progressive. Of course, just like Thailand, always go through some volatility, especially in terms of exchange and so forth, which Thailand has gone through those processes over the last several years. So we have some devaluation every now and then. But that's part of the growing up, right, because of the trade deficit and investment and so forth. So, but I think the government has done very well in managing the policies, economic policy and platform. I see the potential of the country quite a great deal.
Actually, one of the criticisms of the Myanmar government is that it hasn't produced a strong enough economic narrative and hasn't focused enough on attracting investment and opening up the economy. Do you find that? Do you see that do you find it difficult to engage with the right people and to progress your projects?
In every step in investment in all Indochina country and especially in Myanmar, we work with the local partner. We don't invest 100% by PTT. That how can we select and how can we join for the win-win situation? We check and we understand each other first before we go ahead and move. That is-
Kunchatsuri?
For Bangkok Bank experience, so I think we support Myanmar in 3 different ways. And one, because of the financial system in Thailand, that overall we have a saving surplus. So the credit industry as well as the capital market, whether debt or equity, also has been quite well developed. So actually we help some of the Myanmar companies raise funds in Thailand, for example, and also provide their credit facilities so that they will be able to grow. Second, we also support many of our customers in Thailand selling their products in Myanmar, as well as doing some investment or some joint venture with their local partners. And the third one, we also work with the local entrepreneurs and support them with their business respectively. And these people are quite hardworking, and they also want to see their country moving forward. And you can see the spirit and the energy underneath. So I think it is coming, and I think the potential is quite significant.
I wanted to ask you about something you mentioned earlier. Looking at your international branch network in the midst of this trade standoff between the US and China, do you see evidence of companies looking to shift their production from China to the region? And if so, which countries do you see as attracting the most investment?
I think the current US-China dispute probably is leading to a significant reorder of the supply chain in the medium term, so in the 5 to 10 years perspective type. And in many sense, countries like ASEAN will change significantly in this process. Maybe similar to what we saw in the 80s when the Plaza Accord and lead to many of the Japanese investment into ASEAN and many other countries around the world. I think this dispute probably will lead to many changes in the supply chain. And different countries in ASEAN have different levels of competitiveness. So immediate to your question, then I think Vietnam benefits a great deal because they need an immediate production, so that to substitute the supply from China or the location of that. Thailand attracts certain types of investment, maybe more value-added type, and how can Thailand be more like a hub for the region for certain type of services and manufacturing type. And I also see how Myanmar or Indonesia and Philippines also changing. So I think that part is moving forward, but the integration of the ASEAN is probably quite a critical point. And to that extent, what the Director General talked about, the ASMEC is also similarly. So if that the regionalization is quite an important part, and that part will even become more important. India will also be quite a significant player over the next 10 years.
It's interesting you mentioned Vietnam first. So do you see Vietnam, based on what you see from your network, do you see Vietnam as the biggest beneficiary of that supply chain shift?
We see many production movement into Vietnam from different countries as well as from its own indigenous investors. And also the consumption of the country is also moving up with the current per capita income. So the people also could spend as well. So different components are moving forward for the country.
Is the strength of the baht an impediment for Thailand to attract this investment? Its performance this year, over the past 3 years, makes it one of the strongest performing currencies globally. Is that something which is going to be an obstacle?
Of course, it's a challenge for our exporters to manage, but we have seen 30 baht before quite a few rounds over the last 10 years. But yes, it's not only with respect to dollar, but also with other Asian currencies that we have to make sure that we remain competitive. But on the other hand, with a strong baht, investing in the region also has some benefit in that process too. So, but I think the currency movement at the moment is still manageable. More importantly, how to increase the value added and the competitiveness in that process.
Kun Willawan, the trade dispute puts the foreign ministry in a difficult spot. You have two big different nations to balance. How do you do that?
I think we have Kun Pim Chanok. She will definitely give you in more detail. Next session, right? But for us, I think it has been evident that this region is always in the midst of the international conflict between these big powers in the region as well. So we experience that. But what we have in terms of foreign policy is that we are welcome, all these, because they're all our friends, for a long time for the region, especially for Thailand. We are having very open, policy towards, international relations, in terms of international relations, as well as, in terms of economic relation as well. So what we are aiming for, we want peace and stability in the region. We have gone through a lot in this region, and our neighbor countries, have overcome those difficulties in the past, and we work together. And we think we cannot, enhance our economic development or whatever alone. We need to go together, and that's why that is a theme for ASEAN and even for CL, for the ECMEC, that we need to have a stability and a sustainability, both in terms of economic development and also in terms of social and people and to people development as well. So I think that's we try to have dialogue. If you see, we have in ASEAN, we have discussed on the idea of the Indo-Pacific as well. As we know, the Indo-Pacific, BRI, has already encompassing and influencing, and we devote our session of discussion to all these international issues, and we try to address it. And of course, like in South China Sea issues, also is at the heart of our ASEAN discussions. But what we are doing is that we respect, the differences between countries, but also we want to retain that, and we don't want that to interfere with our cooperation together. And I think that's very important, and it's been, taking up in the ASEAN dialogue that we have.
Do you think the trade background is going to encourage a quicker conclusion to the RCEP process?
I think definitely RCEP, we have aiming to finish the main part of it the end of this year. And I think it's very important that it will reflect. I think one of is my own assessment is that when we have CPTPP, which is already big, coverage as well. But I think RCEP is still very relevant, to our region, because it will address our close partner, India, for example, India and also China and also Australia and New Zealand, that's already partnered to FTA with ASEAN. And I think it's very important that we need to have that conclude, and then it will be platform for our developments in terms of liberalization of trade. And of course, under RCEP, it's not only liberalization that we are covering, it's also the trade policy issues. For example, in terms of competition and whatever IP discussions, which are very important to support business in operating their business successfully and fairly in this. But as my experience, I have some experience of FTA negotiation. I think we probably need to have a very progressive way, because we're aiming for the very high liberalization, progressive liberalization. But sometimes if we don't achieve that, we can have, phase of negotiation, as progressively. We can set time for renegotiate. There are certain issues that we cannot agree on, and that would be something that we can move forward, with that. But I think that needs political push and also help from the public and also from the business sector as well. Is that you have to tell the government, that is that what the business sector want? Because at the end of the day, FTAs and all this is just to serve all these businessmen and companies.
I had one last question for each of you because we're running out of time. Can we expect the trade war to be over next year? Can ASEAN prepare for the end of the trade war next year, or are you planning for it to last longer than that? Khun Jansen, I'll put you on the spot first.
I think because of its impact to PTT, yes. And I think in terms of the ASEAN, we still have we call like the intra Indo-China consumption. But I think in Thailand we have a lot of product. One of the value chain and produce assembly in China and export to the world. And that product may be impact from the trade war. And that product may be related with our petrochemical product in Thailand. In Thailand we export more than 3-4 million tons per year to outside Thailand. That impact to business. But in term of PTT, we are the performance 6 months is still on the target, a little bit lower than target, but not much because we have a diversified. But I think in terms of the ASEAN, some country is still our market, like the Laos and Cambodia is still our market, and we still export. It still have a very good high growth in the market. That is we need to separate one. Because in Thailand we are very how can we call develop our refinery, our petrochemical more than 30 years. That is our strong point, and we can export. That is our market. It's still very good.
Okay, Khun Chatsuri, trade deal by next year?
This is going to be a long process. It's the dispute between Jan number 1 and Jan number 2. But I hope that eventually in medium term will lead to the new type of world order where how different people, different countries can coexist and collaborate together. So I think that will be probably emerging over time, but it will take some time. Hopefully in the meantime, ASEAN would be quite a viable position to provide alternative in the meantime. Yes, we will be impacted, but on the other hand, there also be opportunities. And I think that ASEAN should have that good opportunity in the region. And Thailand also can play a quite important role because of its own capability and capacity, whether in terms of management know-how, in terms of the manufacturing capability, the likes of PTT type, and the market access as well as the capital market. So we could work with other members in the region to move forward.
Khun Willawan, you get the last word. Trade friction to peter out, or will it last for some time?
Okay, I think it will last for some time. So I think we have to move on for ourselves as well. We cannot wait and to see what happens. But I think we have to be very innovative, among ourselves, ASEAN and also CLMV, to enhance our, intra consumption and also, development of ourselves. It's give time for us, to look at ourselves and try to develop ourselves, in order to be competitive in this very complex, and I'm sure it will be more complex international economic orders, as Khun Chatsuri said.
Khun Willawan, Khun Chatsuri, Khun Jansen, thank you very much indeed. Very nice discussion. Thank you.
Many thanks to all speakers for enlightening information, first-hand experiences, and opportunity in CLMV. Next, we will have Dr. Kanit Sangsupan, Secretary General Eastern Economic Corridor Office of Thailand. คุณจริพร จารุกรสกุล Chairman and Group CEO WHA Corporation คุณวิชัย กุลสมภพ President สหพัฒนา And our moderator for this session is Dr. Girida Paupijit, Research Director for International Research and Advisory Service, Thailand Development Research Institution or TDRI. This session will present views from policymakers and top executives regarding the next frontier of Thailand's regional development. The discussion will take a deep dive into the rising opportunity, especially for the Eastern Economic Corridor or EEC, and how to turn those opportunities in realities. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me to welcome all speakers on the stage, please.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be back here again this year. And of course, this year, I'm most honored to have with me three very distinguished panelists here, starting with Dr. Kanit, who is a familiar face in the Eastern Economic Corridor world at the moment. He's the Secretary General of the Eastern Economic Corridor Office of Thailand. And I also have with me here Kun Jariporn, who is the Chairman and the Group CEO of WHA Corporation. And last but not least, Kun Vichai, Mr. Vichai, who's the President of the Sahapatana Interholding. So very happy to be here and to have all of you here on this very interesting topic that we're going to be discussing in the next 45 minutes, which is the rising opportunities in regional Thailand. And of course, if you talk about regional Thailand today, the Eastern Economic Corridor is probably on top of everyone's minds, of investors' mind, of economists like myself. We'd really like to know, Dr. Kanit, what's the progress so far? I mean, we hear a lot about the Eastern Corridor, which is one of the key pillars of the Thailand 4.0. But what actually is the progress in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the industries that are being promoted? Can you give us some concrete examples of progress that's been done so far?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kriya. Actually, good afternoon to all distinguished guests. Many people who stay until this moment must be very distinguished and the one who really want to learn more what's going on here. Dr. Gig, I should say that during the past few years, I have been here to do the update. 2 years ago, I came here and said that we are in the process of doing the law and in the process of have the big investment plan. The plan is cover $50 billion, including our investment in the next 5 years. That's what we have last 2 years. Last year I came here to say that the law has been finished. And then we are moving forward to do the infrastructure. That's the second phase we're talking about. At the same time, we do a sort of preparation and investment, those and this. Now, this year I would like to update it to you that the second phase for infrastructures has been almost completed. What I should say is that there will be four key projects. The first one is the high-speed train. The contract has passed the cabinet already, and then it's wait for signing. Probably early of next month, the first one. It's about, as I recall, the total investment should be around $6 billion. And the other one is the deep sea port for the Maptaput deep sea port for the gas terminal. The contract has been finished past the EC committee, We just look forward to send to the cabinet and signing early of next year as well. That's what investment would be amount around $1 billion. And the third one is the airport. That's a big project. The big project, this will be around $7 billion. Yeah.
The Utapao Airport.
Utapao Airport 3. And then we in the process of selecting the winner. Hopefully we pass through the difficulties of the argument through the law to the discretion. The court has been give a good order to us, and we're gonna select the winner by the end, by not longer than 20 of next month or so. So $7 billion should be passed. Lam Sabang is in the process as well. Lam Sabang port will be around $4 or $5 billion. So totally of the investment on this phase, the second phase is about 16 to 18 billion $. All will be completed, get the concession, get the PPP by the end of next month. The project we have here is that it's called the PPP NP. My prime minister said, okay, PPP is not PPP mean public-private partnership.
Right.
They said there must be a people including in that too, meaning that you have to prove wise that this project has been suited for the countries and suited to the people in the local area. So that's what happened. Anyway, by next month or so, I think things will be passed. Total investment that we discussed last time has been upgraded from 1.5 trillion baht to be around 1.7 trillion baht by now, so that anything's come up in a new way. As I said, so we are then moving to the first phase is making the act and do the planning. The second one is do the infrastructure. The third one that we're going to start from now on, that has been going on for a while, is that do the industry investment. Yeah. And that's we need a lot of help from Minister of Industry, Minister of Commerce, those and this coming up in a good way. The target we set aside is that around 100 billion bahts a year. 100 billion bahts a year in the next 5 years. But surprisingly what we have from when we start the EEC from January 2017 to now, to the middle of the year, there has been the requests of investment in that first S-curve and the second S-curve, those and this inside, 1,553 projects. The size of requesting for BOI promotion is 1.3 trillion baht already. That means I'm not starting my running yet, but that's come. So that in the same sense, my boss, Deputy Prime Minister Somkit, said that we have to revise the target, double the target that we aim to have. But that's in the future we're going to do. Anyway, this is the request, so that during the past 2 years when we start the EEC, the request for the investment has been jumped around 80% in the first year and 120% in the second year. A lot of investors are already interested in investing here. But anyway, the weak point of what you see as the data is that they cluster mainly on the first S-curve that's already there. The automobile, electronic, those and this. But the new S-curve is not yet started. They start something, but not in a big way. So that's our role to be. So we start talking with a lot of new technologies firm everywhere. So that our jobs to be done. Now this is the second phase. The third phase we're going to do. Come back to the fourth phase again. If it happens that we can do this one in the next year and preparation for the next 5-year investment, the fourth category is the fourth phase that we're going to do is we're going to do what we call the new way of life, meaning that building the harmonious living in the EEC, meaning for the new city, the planning is already there. So education, public health care, environment, and advanced agriculture will be a part of the whole program that we're going to do. So that by the end of this year, we will announce all this kind, the third and the fourth in the big way. As I said, so we finish the second phase next month or so. Lastly, we do something. There has some 3 or 4 points we'd like to add in a short period of time. Sorry. The first one is the OSS, one-stop service. We're going to open the one-stop service, not the center, one-stop service software within the next month. Hopefully during the times we have the EEC policy committee on the 7th next month. This is the new light. The OSS that we decide has no place, has no personnel, but it just the link of the software to 21 agencies related. You need not to come to see me. You just click it and you can contact to us. We will be the center, and as a center, we will help. We pre-arrange with the light agency to make approval as we fix the times and everything, so that Kun Jun and Kun Si will the one who will the beneficiary to this. Hopefully we can start working. We test run next month or next month or so, but the real run will be the end of the month. Another 2 things is that we have the Eastern Airport City that's going to develop into the Eastern Aerotropolis. Tomorrow I'm going to sign the MOU with Zhengzhou, we call Zhengzhou Aerotropolis. Zhengzhou Aerotropolis has 5 runways and has a big transportation mechanisms. It's the aerotropolis, the most advanced aerotropolis in Asia. There has been work before us 5 years or so that we have a lot of things to catch up with them. The area around Utapao Airport, around 30 kilometers, cover from Pattaya to Rayong, will be developed into the new called Aerotropolis, meaning that we have the new cities, we're going to have the new way of life, living around that one. We have to do this because otherwise if you let the countries or the people in the area run wild, so the city will be disorganized. Smart city will be there. And the last one we just discussed with the Minister of Digital Economy. He came up with a plan to help EEC in a big way. First of all, the infrastructure in the EEC is the best in terms of the digital infrastructures. And we're going to test we have been testing the 5Gs now. And the last thing to do, they will do the what's so-called digital valleys at the ECD, so that the project comes up. So that, again, we have 4 phases, 2 has been done, so the second 2 will come. Thank you very much.
Right. It was very interesting, Dr. Kanit. I just have a few questions that I would like to follow up with you. As you mentioned that, at the moment, the success is mainly in the 5 current S-curve industries which have taken interest in the Eastern Economic Corridor. Those are the ones that we're building upon what we're already good at, such as automotives, right, such as healthcare. But you were mentioning that the new S-curves are the ones that are not taking off in a big way yet, such as robotics or airplane maintenance and parts. What are the plans? Because you were mentioning that you would like to do more to step up in attracting more investments into the new S-curves. What are the plans that you have for attracting those?
Actually, it's the new industries that has been worked. The instrument that we normally use through the BOI, BOI meaning that you give the incentive for the producers, might not be enough. If you want to do the robotic, they will ask you how many robotic arms they can use in the local economy for the export. So that we have to working on the demand side as well, not only the supply side, but demand side as well. But the other things around that we force every investor or communicating with the investor is that every project that we approve and got the incentive, they has to come up with the package to train our Thai people to match to the new technology. So that the advance of the package we are working on. Then this times around we have the EEC law. In the next phase, we're going to use the EEC law more to promote the investment of the new kind. We have been proved for a while that is the mechanisms that we have today might not be sufficient to do. Some of the new company, you don't have the tax to break, tax to have a deduction. Some of the time you need some subsidy to the university, to the new technology, to the investment. That's to come up with the new instrument we're going to do.
I see. So there will be more. There will be more done, and also human resource issues will need to be addressed in that. Thank you so much. This is very interesting. But I just also want to hear from the private sector, who's actually in the area. So maybe I start with Kunjaripan. You know, WHA has industrial estates in the Eastern Economic Corridor. What has been your experience there? Are there actually really more interest in the Economic Corridor, as Dr. Kanit has mentioned? Please share your views.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and distinguished, right? And also, first of all, I would like to thank you, Dr. Kanit, who worked very hard for make EC happen. It's really important for Thailand. I always say like this. Since these 2 years, we faced with lots of investors, even though when I roadshow to other country, everybody always ask me about what happened, or what about EEC. Because previously, before we have EEC, Thailand lost opportunities about the competitiveness. For the FDI is gone, and also Thailand out of the investment or the world investment. But after we have EEC, we are in the map of the world investment right now. Why? Because you can see that as from the last section, Kun Tony said that Thailand we lost about we not the low cost anymore, right? And you look in our country, right? Compared with in this regional, we are the best of the infrastructure. But in this 10 years, we do nothing. We don't invest in we didn't invest in the big infrastructure. While the others, our neighbor, invested a lot, right? And we don't have the lower labor cost incentive anymore, right? And also the tax privilege was gone. So what is our competitiveness? And because of the BCA group, we are doing the 4 business area. The first one is industrial estate. The second is logistic. For the industrial estates, we are like about the first one who we meet with about the investor for all over the world, right? So we also have we saw lots of problems, and we also send this message to the government. Please help. Otherwise, we cannot compete with our neighbor anymore. But right now, for the EEC, I can say that with about the privilege, anything for investment for 1.7 trillion Thai baht or about $5 billion US dollars something, that's mean. And everything about that for the new S curve, for the first S curve something, we can be, in my point of view, I strongly believe that we win in the first of this region again.
Right. And have there been any examples or interest in the EEC, from WHA business point of view?
Sure. For WHA, since we have the industrial estate, right? We have the industrial estate in Thailand. We have 10 and 9 in EEC.
Oh, 9 in EEC.
We are the biggest about the industrial estate here, and also about the logistics. If you know from the newspaper, we are the one that talk with the big group, even with Alibaba, anything for the logistics, or we are with about the aerospace, something about in the EEC, something like this. So that's why that we also interest a lot about the EEC. We need to make it happen, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have to congratulate WHA Group and Kunjaripan. I know you just signed a very big business agreement with Chinese investors in WHA. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
This is quite important. If you guys know a lot about trade war, right? And I think the trade war is not only trade war, it's trade war, tech war, and also about securities. So it's a long story, not just ended in the short. That's why, and this just from last year, normally for the British, our major client is Japanese. Allow nearly 40% is Japanese, but last year only. From Chinese, it's now 43% from Chinese. For last year, right? This means what happened because of trade war. I think that I will say that for trade war, this is the important time because of this is the big move of investments of the world. Move out from China to where? right? Where? So the first destination of China, both Chinese and non-Chinese that invest in China, the first destination is Southeast Asia, right?
So I would like to add just a few sentences. Yesterday, there has been announced from USA Business Councils that they're going to reinvest in Thailand during this time because of the trade war, those it is. But this is her opinion personally. In terms of the official one, we do not talk this one out loud. Because if you do that, so you might be followed by United States to do something for you in the future, so that make it quiet in that way. We gain the benefit, that's fine. The second thing I would say is that in EEC, we help to promote the industrialization, the new technology, first curve and S curve, only within the industrial estate. Like this one, like Sahapat, that's one. So that we expected that to see some of the increased yield and dividends for both companies next year. The other one I would like to add is that the money that we're talking about, around 16 to 18 billion US dollars in the infrastructure in EEC. EEC do have the policy to promote that to be in the stock market, in the set. Meaning that in form of infrastructure, in form of fundraising, those and this. But right now, the Thai bank that has to be shared on the lending of the money to this project already get a good benefit out of it.
I see. I agree that we're not making a big deal out of the relocation, but the fact is that when TDRI does its economic analysis, we also see a lot of relocation of companies from China into Thailand, and we find that the first country that they come to is actually Vietnam. Vietnam has received a lot of investment, but Thailand ranks number 2. So I'm not surprised when Kunjaripan says there are also some interest, in the relocation into the industrial estates, especially WHA. Yes, which is why we don't want to, because Vietnam's already on the watch list. So, in that sense, I mean, it's a fact that they do come, and it's both Chinese and non-Chinese companies as well.
Yes, or it's a lot of opportunities here in Thailand, in the EEC. Since we talk a lot with the Chinese, something like this, we also talk about the science park here. Even though now we are in the process to do about the high technology industrial estate. Because often, talk about the Thailand 4.0, we would like to move up our country to the technology. So the most important thing is how can we support for the technology, something like this. So that's why it's also very interesting to do more and more, not only the normal common industrial estate anymore.
Not manufacturing, but also technology companies should be coming
right,
as well.
Right.
And we'll talk about the next phase of EEC in the next round when we come back to Dr. Kanit, and if that will be more promoted. But first, I'd like to go to Kun Vichai to seek your views as well. How do you see investments in the EEC based on Sahapatan experience, and maybe a bit on we'll go for the EEC first. In the next round, we'll talk about other regions of Thailand.
Okay, thank you. As a Saha Group, we are in the area of Chonburi more than 45 years. We start the industrial estate before there is motorway, before there is EEC. So we understand the people in that area quite well. Our product, Mama, Farmhouse, or Miss Teen, I think everyone familiar with, because we invest for quite a long time. 45 years ago, in that area, maybe only Saha Group and Thai Oil that established the real sector in that area. And now, thanks to the government, the economic team, and also the office of EEC, Dr. Kanit lead quite well in the past few years. We are lucky in our generation. This is the first time in my life that the government, the cabinet, especially the previous cabinet under Dr. Somkit, worked very hard, issue the idea of EEC. It promotes the real sector. It promotes the quality of life in the city of Chonburi, Sriracha, and also in Rayong and Chachoengsao. I compare the EEC project as a pregnancy woman, trimester, right?
trimester?
9 months.
Already.
The first trimester already passed. EEC Act already approved. We okay. Now is second trimester, almost the third or the final trimester. Why I said it's a second trimester because we wait for the master plan, the use of land, or we call a town planning act or the city planning. When this come out, it will unlock the potential of EEC. All the infrastructure project that Dr. Kanit kindly explained, it will be realistic after the master plan of land use announced or approved by the cabinet next month. So we wait for that, for the concrete success of EEC project. And the third semester, the third trimester, now is not only the government policy. The policymaker already have done a very good job, but the final trimester have to depend on private sector. The company or the bidder that already win or already passed through the contract or joining the mega project should be delivered. Everything will benefit to Thai people. So it's not easy to deliver all the project as planned, but we believe after the city planning, after infrastructure happens in the field project, the confidence of investor will become more realistic. The trade war for me is only temporary. Today trade war, tomorrow another war, or tomorrow maybe the peaceful moment. But in terms of long-term sustainability for Thai people, we have to look which project is good for the long run, especially for the local people. When we move to the EEC, the Srilacha people, the young people have to understand. So the participation of local people must be take into account for the policy maker and take time. So I think it's a very good policy, very good team, and benefit to the private sector and all the private sector. I think very happy to work together with the government to move on and make the country more sustainability very good in the long run.
I see. Thank you for all those recommendations. I think Kudvichai mentioned about the master land use plan, which is something on investors' mind in the next phase of EEC's development. Can you give more details on that and the timeline of that master land use plan?
Thank you very much. We do the land use planning and this one for 1.5 years already. It's not the new coming. It has been prepared by our intentions. Why so? Because when you do the area development and you cannot let it go organically, meaning that go by developed by anyone doing whatever they like, it's impossible. You need to have a plan. So the plan said that we will take the land of the rural area, that's called the rural area lands, around 8% to do other thing else. Around 3% is for develop into the new, not the rural city anymore, but the modern city. So that's a part of it. And another 3%, surprisingly, we use as a reservation land along the river, along the canal. So nobody can be able to get close to them anymore. So that costs us 3% of the land. And the land itself used for industries has increased by around 2%. You will be surprised that the industrial estate that we're talking about here in EEC nowadays, it has a ratio of the land use only 2% of the total land. What we have been done is increase from 2% to 4% around that one. Why we're doing that? That's just enough for us for that kind of land, because both of us has been discussed that we're going to go for the new technologies. We did not a lot of land, those and this, right? But anyway, what before I'm working on the EEC, we do the survey. the land in the industrial estate has been left behind. Nobody wants to use it, no investor. Surprisingly, around 20,000 rai empty. So that when you do EEC, so that we can put some investor into that. But anyway, in the longer term, when we use all this land, you need a new land. That's preparation for today, for tomorrow. It's not for today itself. So we have plenty of land today that we can fill in the new investor. But if you imagine if we have to go further, in the next 5 to 10 years, this land use will be take around 20 years from now, right? We reserve this land for the future use, and that meaning that we are not allow industry to locate it in the area that not suitable to be industrialization zone. So the cluster concept and everywhere is on that. That's all the whole thing. We did it for the past, not I did actually is the land use planning of Thailand doing the work for us, and it would take 1.5 years completed already. After this, they will separate the big plan of the 3 provinces into the small 3 provinces plan according to their law. And the land use today that we plan, we're going to be submit to the cabinet early of next month.
Next month.
Yes. Month. Everything is ready, complete. But anyway, this is the preparation for our development in the next 20 years. Right. So we have to do it today.
This is for the future, exactly, but we have to start today. But I know that you've been meeting a lot of resistance as well on environmental issues or and other issues such as water shortage. How are you addressing those for the future as
yes,
well?
actually, we they asked 15 questions, 5 from one political party, the other 10 from the local people. So we answer all of 15 questions in technicality. That's why we use that. We use this already understand.
Oh,
no?
I see.
It's just a matter of how we convincing them. But as you see, it's just focused in some area, some small area. It's not the whole plan. It's not the whole plan. The whole plan had been well supported by the governor, by the people in that area. But of course, this kind of big matter, so has some resistance. It's good. So it's checks and balance to us.
I see. So if I were to ask Kunjariporn, other things that the EEC could do, to even boost it even more or make it even more attractive. I mean, what would be your recommendations for the EEC?
Just may have some.
Kunjariporn has some slides that she has prepared.
Okay. I make this one because I just looked through the EEC things. When this 2 years, when we talk with the investor about the EEC, I got 3 questions. The first thing is, can it happen? Can it implement? The second thing is last long. The third thing is, what about the people? Yeah, since the first one now, we have the act of EEC already. That's okay, it's last long, right? Implement. As Dr. Kanit just mentioned that's we also passed through about the process of bidding about the important infrastructure, about the 5 projects, right, or the process, right? The third one, the people. Because we said that we are moving up to the technology S-curve and new S-curve, right? So how can we prepare the people, our laborers, to that thing or not? That's the thing that what I concern, and these other investors also concerned, because of when they are invest here, that means they need a lot of support, not only the infrastructure, not only for the PLS. The most important thing is about the labor. I always say that Thailand have the best skilled labor in this region. But right now, if we would like to move up to technology, skilled labor not enough. It needs to be like about the I would say that knowledgeable laborers, or we move up to the high values like thing. That means if we cannot prepare this thing, how can we going up to the new S curve, right? This is the most concern for the investor and for most concern for us too. That's why the first way that we can have about the tax, personal income tax for the specialists to work here with about the very low, it's like about 17% something for the personal income tax, and with the work permits, with the fast tax, something like this. This is the first step that we have that, like about and also have the knowledge transfer. And the second thing that's like quite concern is about the innovations. If we would like to move up the country like this, we all say that Thailand invests really low about the research or innovations. But right now, I think that is the big things that we need to think, right? And this is not only for the private sector to do by ourselves. I need support from the government too. We need to work parallel together because it has a lot of university here. But for about the education, how can we move together something? For the university, how it's university why you need to compete each other, why you need to go together, and then get some about the knowledge or something like this. So we need to move forward. Otherwise, the problem is how can we go like that? Mm-hmm.
That's right. Thank you for those. Maybe Dr. Knit, you want to respond before I then go to Kun Vichai. Dr. Knit, issues of human resource and also, even though there's an act, right? Will it survive the next few governments?
I would say to Dr. Cook like this. One thing is that when we do the EEC and we much underestimate is the human resources problem. When we do the first survey, we just have a big surprise that the people in the area that has the bachelor degree has been unemployed or underemployed. You guess how much? 200,000 people in the area, 3 provinces only. What we produce today in the university, 50% are unemployed. So that meaning that we do on the supply side and never look back at what kind of job they're going to get. This is the realities. Then in the past 2 years, one thing that we have been done very hard is on the human resources. The first thing to do is on the vocational training, those and this have to be there. Then as I said, because of this, whenever the company, no matter Thai or foreign, has the privilege from BOI or from EEC, you have to do the human resource training with us. That's compulsory. As Kun Jun mentions cleverly, is that when you do the technologies, technology is human. Technology is people, it's knowledge. It's not the machine or anything. If you ask me what I worry most about doing EEC is that in the next 5 years, you need not to worry. We can have the infrastructure in place. We can bring investor coming in. But it's going to last long or not depend on whether you can do on human resources or not. If the Thai people do not bring themselves up to catch the new technology and carry forward, the EEC will generate growth around 1.5 to 2% in the next 5 years, sure, believe me. But after that, it's not guaranteed. It depends on how can we have the new generation to come and carry on the EEC in the new life. And that's most fearsome to me.
Right, and it's also a part of the private sector to play as well in this human resource development.
What we did is that the Prime Minister already speak the word that the government will not promote any university or educational in whatever. That's have the training class or have the degree and not have work. That's one thing we cannot. Then we work with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Labor. What we call is demand-driven kind of training.
Private sector.
Meaning that the company in June, in WHA, in Sahapat, that's going to do the work, has to identify what kind of demand they have. In EEC itself, we do the demand estimation for the next 5 years. Surprisingly, 400,000 job, good pay job will be there, right? Then we start one by one to take who's going to do those who are going to do this work with BOI. And as I said, if you talk about today, what's the most troublesome problem is the education, right? Then we have to change. And if you not complete the session in the first 5 years, so EEC engines might not last long.
I see. So there's a challenge there as well. But you think future governments would still endorse the EEC?
So far we have been a good support. We have been good support, but a lot of work has to be done. Actually, Kun Si already mentions about good daughter. I'm not that pregnant woman, so that. But it's the baby. EEC is a baby of everyone. You should say that. Then you guys has a job to do. Don't look at me alone, right? If you can do training the people in the field, please do. If you can have some engines to do the work on the training, please do. The country needs you very much, actually.
This is a collective effort that every stakeholder in the country should. It's not only the government's.
The government agencies just do their work.
I see. So turning to Kun Vichai, I know you've been working not only in the EEC, but also in regions outside where Sahapat has the industrial estates as well. I'd like you to share some of those opportunities, some of the investors here who might not know about those regions as well as the EEC.
Okay. In our Saha Group, we may not as big as the WHA. The WHA already expand to Vietnam, to many countries. But we quite focus in Thailand. So we start to find the location that we can produce the good product at the reasonable cost to supply to Thai people. 45 years ago, we started in Chonburi because in Bangkok it's already expensive 45 years ago. Then our chairman, Kun Bunyasit, moved to another location, Kabinburi, Lamphun, and also Mae Sot in the last 30 years. So we can see the improvement of infrastructure and people mind. People in many areas of Thailand, they welcome industry, they welcome more investor. And we talk about special economic zone many times in the border area of Thailand. Saha Group, if I can recommend, I can say that the Mae Sot area can be the next potential. EEC is a very huge area, have a big petrochemical and many industry already. But Mae Sot, we have a big potential customer, potential consumer from Myanmar, from India. And it's only a border city that have a very big airport. Soon the new development, the expansion of Mae Sot airport will be finished. And also the land transportation, the new bridge next to the Mae Sot is Mewadi, also very high potential.
So what kinds of industries or businesses are a potential in Mae Sot?
In Mae Sot, right? Right now, most of the labor intensive. Very easy to establish in Mae Sot because the labor from Myanmar, when they come to Thailand, they are very happy, good or better quality of life, and we welcome them as a good citizen of Mae Sot. We consider them not a foreigner, but as a member, as one of the big population in Mae Sot. So they work as a Thai people. They work in the job that now Thai people doesn't want to work. So textile industry already established in Mae Sot. And also more high tech, more low cost and more logistic. Because in Myanmar, a lot of seafood coming from open sea, and they use Mae Sot as a gateway to the restaurant in Bangkok. Most of the lobster come from Myanmar. So I think Myanmar, Thailand will be more and more collaboration, and Mae Sot will be the gateway in the near future. Also Lamphun and Chiang Mai, they will have a new airport. So I think for the handicraft product, that jewelry product that can export to global market, Lamphun and Chiang Mai also very interesting area to invest, as well as the people in northern part of Thailand, very nice investor. When they come to Thailand, they feel very comfortable to live in northern part of Thailand. So I will focus on Mae Sot and Lamphun. If you consider out of EEC.
Out of EEC, and I know Kun Vichai's industrial estate is more like than industrial. It's a community. You have temples in there for people to go to as well. So that's very encouraging. Kujripan.
Just I would like to add more, Kun Vichai, and to ask Ajahn Kanit about the outside EEC. Can we do more on the north, right? This and northeastern because of the Udon or Nong Khai connect with the BRI, right? And also EEC and Southern Economic Corridor. I'm not sure that if we connect the four parts together, should be like about the cover on the country or not.
Will there be other ECs in the
There are
country?
two dimensions now that has, the first dimension is ongoing, is that we use the EEC as a part of connectivity to our neighboring countries. Now, for example, what we're going to do is that when we have the Lam Sabang deep sea port, it's going to link with the dry port in China, in Laos, in Myanmar, in Cambodia, in Vietnam. So use this port as a regional port. When we do the airport in Utapao, it's not the local airport. It's linked to the three airport, all right? But we're going to have the connectivity with China. That's what he said, the Zhengzhou. We are in the process to work with the Philippine airport, Clark Airport, and those things to make connectivities in EEC as a part of it. But anyway, the most important part that we say is that if we have the route to EEC to southern China, so that's going to be a lot more of area development nearby.
Nice.
The second dimension, as we said, EEC is the experimental zone.
Right.
Meaning that we try to do something that never done before in the country in this area.
It's like
if
a
it's
sandbox.
worthwhile, yes, if it's worthwhile, so it can be expanded to other area, northeastern part, northern part. They already talk about the southern economic corridor. They're talking about the Andaman Sea tourist destination, those things. So let's EEC work on the legal and everything for a while. After it's settled, so we can expand to other places.
Right? So this is wonderful. I'm looking at the timer, and there's no more time left. So I hope for this session you have heard about a lot of opportunities for investing in different regions in Thailand, especially EEC. Yes, we have many challenges that we still need to address, but there are also many opportunities and potential to be harvested here. So please join me to thank all the three panelists by giving them a big hand. Thank you so much.
So thank you to her as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the panelists for an insightful information. So ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the next session, I would like to share with you a little story behind the souvenir that you have received this morning. So this is the tuk-tuk magnet that is made by Fabric Art. It's a Thai social enterprise that has created job opportunity for people with disabilities, housemaid, including prisoners. So they find this handicraft making relaxing, relieving stress, and also enhancing their earnings as well. So at the back of the souvenir, you will find a QR code that you can also scan in order to download the summaries of each session. Thank you very much. So for next session, we will talk about the new era of Thailand trade and tourism. We are honored to have Kun Pimchanok Wonkorporn, Director General of Trade Policy and Strategy Office, Ministry of Commerce, Mr. William Elwood Hacknick, CEO and Chairman of Minor International, Mr. Vivek Davin, CEO of Mega Life Sciences, and our moderator for the session is Ms. Marco Tovi, Asia Equity Market Editor at Bloomberg News. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me. Welcome all speakers on the stage.
Good afternoon, final session. Thanks for staying with us. Here are our three presenters, and we're tackling the very big topic of tourism trade, which make up the bulk of Thailand's economy. So joining us is Kun Pim Chanok Wongkaporn, who's Director General of Trade Policy at the Commerce Ministry, Bill Heineke, Minor International, and Vivek Dewan, whose company is called Mega Life Sciences. All of them have a stake in tourism and trade. And first we'll hear from Kun Pim Chanok, who will give us an overview of where we are in the trade stakes at the moment.
Thank you very much and good afternoon. I'm a naturalist loud speaker. Actually, normally sometimes I don't even need a microphone, and I think for you guys who have been here since in the morning, my pretty distinct voice could wake you up a little bit. But excuse me if I speak too fast. I would try to keep up with the time, the limited time that I have. I think the task of this panel is to discuss on two issues: trade situation and tourism situation, and my duty would be talking about trade and particularly the effects that have been Thailand has had from trade war that is ongoing. I suppose that is a topic that you are looking for. So without further ado, let me go ahead. I would, if I may stand up and speak, I'm in more natural state when I stand up and walk. I just go through things very quickly. The first issue that this slide is showing you is that Thailand is very much an export driven economy, right? The share of export to GDP is about 66%, and our international trade is even like 119% of GDP. It means we are very dependent on the external factors. Secondly, the news of export may not be entirely good, even though last month we have registered surplus on export for many months since this year. But okay, I would be very frank, and the major factor that contributed to the growth of export last month was the 400% growth of gold export. But having said that, I think the good news that the Ministry of Commerce is very delighted is that we saw that even though we take out the gold and oil from the export, we still registered some growth, which is a good sign, different from the previous month. So the message here is that we are coping well. The supply chain is adjusting in Thailand. This picture will show you that, okay, maybe we have been dependent on growth of gold export last month, but we also have been quite successful in diversifying our product mix of export portfolio. We have seen more of the other products that appear in our share of export, and I think that is a good news, and it is something that the government would seek to strengthen in the future. In terms of our trading partners, we are also doing well in diversifying our trading partners. Previously you would see that we depend on the 4 major partners like USA, EU, Japan, China, and ASEAN. But currently our trading partners have been more than that. And for example, the most emerging and the most important export market now is India. Our export to India have expanded a lot in many categories of products. And also our neighboring countries in CLMV, those are the 2 major export markets and trading partners of Thailand in the future. Okay, I have 2 slides here because I think we have limited time. Okay, talking specifically about trade war, I would not deny that the trade war has affected Thailand a lot because we are an export dependent country. So in overall, we have, I think I would have to show you this picture. I'm very sorry. I was trying to hide it because I don't want to be a target of the United States. Okay, let me say it very frankly. Because Thailand is doing well in the trade war, believe it or not. We have registered some trade surplus. we calculate the effects of trade war on three areas only. First one is the direct effect that some of the products from Thailand have been levied tariff by the US. Of those products, solar cell and washing machine and aluminum still grew despite the increased tariff, but our export of steel product has come down. For the two indirect effects on Thai exports that are a result of the trade war, the most important negative effect come from those sectors that are engaged in supply chain of China. So things like automobiles and computer parts have been the most heavily affected by the impact of trade war, because not only we export less to China, but to those countries that are in China value chain as well, such as Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and Hong Kong. So those, the column in the middle, those are the ones that we have been affected quite a lot. But at the same time, we are doing well in exporting the US market in the products that China has to pay higher tariff to the US market. So it's like a substitute effect to the US market. We are doing quite well in those categories. So I would stop here, and actually we do have figures on this, but I don't want to show it publicly. But if you're interested, you can ask me. But I would inform you that overall the total effect of the trade war on Thai export is a reduction of about 0.53% of our export has been reduced. This is a total figures of the first 7 months of this year. We have been affected about 0.5% of export due to the effect of trade war. But otherwise, in the past 2 months, we have seen that we are the supply chain is coping well and trying to adjust it. If I have time, then I would speak more on that. But I think I will stop here for now.
Thank you very much. I'll pull you in here, Bill, because you can talk about the other side of the equation, and that is tourism. And what are the big effects on tourism at the moment? Of course, the baht is the big story. And what are the other issues? Please go ahead.
For Thailand, the concern always is if the currency gets too strong, because we do see the impact with our tourists from China. It makes other markets look very much more attractive. I think we've all seen what's happened with the baht compared to the pound. It's become very strong. As a result, we've seen our hotels in the UK and in Europe, in Euro markets, become much more attractive. But generally, I think we have been living with that. I think we're still looking at growth for this year for tourists into Thailand. But the one thing which is always very critical, and we can see what's happening in Hong Kong, is security and safety for tourists is the single most important thing to maintaining the uninterrupted growth that Thailand's had for the last several years. And unfortunately, we've seen what a huge impact demonstrations, even peaceful demonstrations, can have on Hong Kong, not only on the tourist economy, but the entire economy. So we're hopeful that Thailand will maintain its record of security, and that the baht strength hopefully isn't going to break the 30 baht barrier, and will try to survive.
Vivek, you're exporting products. How is the baht affecting you? What are the pros and the cons?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we export a lot of our product out of Thailand. Our major business, about 85%, is out of Thailand. So baht does affect us in some ways. As long as all the regional currencies move in tandem, it doesn't have a major effect on our business. But if baht is stronger as compared to other currencies around the region, yes. Because our largest markets are CLMV. I mean, Vietnam, Myanmar, put together make up for nearly 70% of our business. So that has an impact. If those remain weaker and Thai baht becomes stronger, it will have some impact on our business. But largely being in the pharmaceutical business, we have two things we can do. We can change prices in the country if we can. If other competitors don't do that, then we can adjust prices. And being in a segment where we do branded business largely, our model is a bit different because we work in 33 countries and we largely work in developing markets. So currency for us is not only a baht problem, it's an every country problem. Nigerian, Naira, Ethiopian dollar and Kenyan shilling. So we are operating in 33 different currencies around the world, and we constantly have to manage that. And you do that by pricing your product right and managing the market prices in the country wherever we can. So naturally hedging against what we import and we export. So that's how we manage currency. And we've been doing that for the last many, many years. So yes, is there an impact? Yes. Is it something that we worry about every day? No. And do we still think we can grow our business? Yes. I think that's largely dependent on us, how we build brands in the country. So it's a bit different because we have to grow our markets where we are, because we are in a business that needs to develop further, grow, and build brands further. So it's a different challenge for us, I think, in our business. We think it's a lot of challenges internal to us. How do we grow, create more users, find more customers, and grow our business? So that's a very big challenge for us in the markets. And then we have localized problems in every country. Every country has different rules and regulatory environment that's more challenging than just the currency. It's one of the issues, yes. But is it major? Not as much as probably what other people face. Yeah.
Kun Pimchanok, you spoke about exports. How about imports? The strong baht provides a good opportunity for companies to invest in capital equipment. And a lot of the companies are importing to re-export. So are we seeing more companies buying capital equipment, imports of capital equipment? How's that look?
Yes, I think on the effects of the baht has to be twofold. One on the export, in particular, export of agriculture product or commodities, which are directly affected by the baht, right? You sell price, we don't have an offset from the import of raw material. So the baht has affected the value of export of Thailand considerably, particularly in food. But at the same time, we have noticed in past months that import has increased, particularly on the import of machinery and some raw materials. So we hope that it is the manufacturers, those in the industrial sectors, they have recognized that the baht is very strong and it's a good time to import their inputs for now. So, but having said that, I don't think the import side has increased as much as we would hope for. But the impact of the baht on the export value is quite a lot, And farmers who are who have been directly affected by the strong baht are complaining loudly, And when farmers complain, what happens?
Yeah. Bill, you also have a food business. Are you importing capital equipment, reinvesting in that business, and how is the baht affecting that business other than the tourism? Are you importing commodities, for example?
Well, it's twofold. We don't import very many products for our restaurant business or our food business. We rely very much on the local economy. The bulk of our business, we have about over 1,000 restaurants in Thailand. And but as Pim said, that one of the major impacts for us is, of course, the shrinking income of anyone that's involved in agriculture. And we've seen that almost throughout the entire consumer food industry in Thailand, with a drop, quite a significant drop in consumption of our products. We are continuing to invest to refine some of the products. We produce a lot of bakery items, cheese, ice cream, and now we're going to be going into some frozen bakery items. We import very little, but what we do import is some of the bakery products which are produced in Malaysia and other areas around the region. So we hope with our new factory that will be able to be reduced dramatically. And certainly the cost of that plant has been much less in baht terms because of the strength of the baht. Most of the equipment has to be imported, the frozen bakery equipment.
Vivek, how about you? You are producing product here and exporting it globally. And you also mentioned that you have some production capacity in other markets. How do you balance the shifts in consumption in your different markets?
We don't manage it at all, honestly. I think it's not manageable for us because for us it's very long term. If you put a factory today and we want to get drug registration, it takes us 3 years before even we can start going to market. So it takes us a long time. So I think just because the baht is lower or higher, we don't move factories very quickly because Pharma factories require GMP approvals, FDA approvals, and then getting it all that ready, and then by the time you have registration in 30 countries, you can't move. You're already stuck for many, many years to come. So we are investing in Thailand, but not because of the baht. We are investing because we're upgrading our facilities, getting ready for the future, and we see this as a long-term business for us. We've been there 33 years. We'll be there for another 33 years. So that's the investment in Thailand. Then we are putting money in Myanmar because we see 55 million people there, and we have been there for 25. And we have now built a very strong distribution setup there. We have a large 15,000 square meter facility. We recently built world-class warehousing facility in Myanmar. And now we are setting up a manufacturing site to make pharmaceuticals in Myanmar. And we are going to invest about $35 million in Myanmar. So we are investing for the next 15, 20 years. And we think once you get into this business, you stay there for a very, very long time. So we are going to make pure pharmaceuticals in Myanmar. Thailand, we have one site. We are going to have one in Myanmar. And we have one in Australia as well, where we do certain things that are very complementary to our markets, which are especially protein powders and things like that, which actually fit into the environment and can go into our global supply chain business, because we operate and supply a variety of products into 33 different markets. So I think making it for the right reasons, because they are right for the location they are in. The regulatory environment is good, speed to market is quick, and also gives us an advantage to produce products at the right quality. Because worldwide today in our business, you have standards that are equal to US FDA and European standards. So we can't say that we make in Myanmar and they are lower in quality. They're equally as good as any country in the world. Wherever we sell, whether we sell in Kenya or Ethiopia or Nigeria. And if needed, then we also have to build facilities in other markets, because I think what we see on the other side is more regulatory constraints. I mean, many countries are becoming inward looking. I think that's a bigger challenge now with this environment. With the China trade war and this we talk about, but we also see this happening in countries which are saying locally produced and putting non-tariff barriers in the country. And these are bigger challenges today in our industry especially. I mean, you may be producing in one location, you have efficiencies of delivery, supply chain, volume production, and then suddenly you can't import because those products are put on the ban list, or there are other requirements, regulatory or local purchase requirements come in. So I think there are other challenges which are bigger in terms of managing the supply chain than just the industrial investment in the industry. So for us, those are probably bigger, as I said. And the other part is our own. How do we go out and build? There are bigger consumer challenges, regulatory challenges, and the models in the country, because disruptive models are coming up. People buying online, and the pharmacy is becoming less relevant, and hospitals being disturbed. You don't go to the hospital anymore. You get the doctor to see you online. You get all your tests done online, and somebody recommends you a medicine and don't even go and see a doctor. So I think the challenges are the world's getting disrupted in everywhere, from the way you get treated, from the way you buy products, and the regulatory environments. I think for us, those are much bigger challenges than the other ones that we are talking about here. And I think we as a company have to look ahead to see how do we survive and actually grow in these environments. And the developing markets that were very good before when we went, it was very easy. 30 years ago, it was very simple. Go in there. If you know how to go around the system and you can manage the way how to get money in Burma, you could import products and sell. You didn't have to do anything because you just had products. Nobody else had it. But today, everybody has the same thing. And how do you fight? How do you win in the market? And I think that's becoming very challenging today with Amazon and all the new things happening around you. I think that's something that keeps us awake more than anything else, than the baht or the factory being here or there. You know? I mean, that's definitely a challenge, but these are far bigger and far interesting and more difficult than ever in our life that we have seen in the last 30 years, I think. So,
Khun Pimchanok, from the policy point of view, what does the government do to help companies keep up to speed and not falling behind with policy, not hindering business development?
May I have my slide, please? But if I may continue the point that Khun Vive has just raised, and I entirely agree with you, you know, the trade war may be a major short-term impact, but what the impact on Thai export is nothing to be concerned too much compared with what it is doing in the world. You know, what we are worried is that the instability from trade war has a repercussion at the global level. Thailand does not export only to the US or to China. We export to around the world, and the rest of the world account for a majority of our export. So the instability impact is very important because we want to export to other countries. We are not only exporting to those two. Just quickly to say that many of the Asian economies have been affected by trade war, but in the interest of time, I would just answer directly the question that you have asked. And I think the strategy of the government that trying to tackle trade war in the short and medium term are fourfold. The first one is that we try to follow through and have a surveillance mechanism for trade diversion effects. Trade diversion effects in this particular instance is we are worried about circumvention. This is a bit a technical word. It means that there are imports from other countries that have come into Thailand and be repackaged or re-exported as Thai products. This is something that international trade rules does not allow, and we have to be very careful about this, and otherwise the US may think that Thailand is an accomplice in doing it, but we are not, and the government is doing a frequent survey to ensure that there's no circumvention in the Thai manufacturing sector. But at the same time, we see that there are trade diversion effects, and not only we are diverting our products to the US more, but there are other countries that are fighting in the third market as well. So goods around the world are being scattered and diverse as an impact of the tariff from the US and China. The second strategy is about market penetration, and this of course the Ministry of Commerce focus on three strategic points. First one is to strengthen our traditional or mature market, such as the US and EU and Japan. Secondly, we will try to penetrate more the new markets, such as India, CMV, and the Middle East. Those are our three new targets. But then the third one that has been added by our new minister, Minister Jurin, is that we would try to recapture some of the markets that used to be our customers, but they have we have lost the market due to some factors, such as Iraq, where they used to buy a lot of Thai rice, you know, Thai quality rice, but they have finished because of some problem in the past. So we are trying to recapture those markets. The third one is we would continue on trade negotiations, and I would speak a little bit on this. And last but not least, we hope to make trade and investment policy to go together in tandem. You have heard a lot about EEC, that is an inward investment, but Thailand also have companies such as PTT and other big conglomerate Kun Bill who go out to invest in other countries. So we have to make the inward and outward investment strategy more in tandem so as to strengthen the future of the Thai economy. I just show you the picture of the FTA. And I think we from the government, we want to inform you that we would go ahead with negotiation with the EU, probably starting from early next year, and also with the UK, and of course the RCEP, or the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which is the ASEAN Plus 6. This is our priority. We hope to conclude them by the end of this year. So those are the three major markets that we hope to capture with our strength relations. But the big question mark remains on if you are in the trade area, the CPTPP agreement, which is the Asia Pacific. We have not had a final position on that, but we are studying, and we are arriving at some conclusion soon. So if with that, we hope that this will be very positive news for investor, because FTA network is a very vital connectivity in the future.
How important are these treaties to you, Bill?
I think it's important that Thailand has an open door policy and is seen to be accepted throughout the world. And but frankly, we're more affected by things like visa restrictions and what have you. And fortunately, the government has been opening that up, which makes it easy for all countries to visit. The one that is my pet project is, of course, Saudi Arabia, which still has non-relations with Thailand in terms of tourism. And if we can ever open up that channel again, now that we have a new king, and there's a new king in Saudi Arabia, hopefully the past will be forgotten, and we could reopen that, because it's a huge market for Thailand. Saudi and also for trade and other activities which have been hampered now for many years. And if that opens up from a tourism standpoint, we see huge tourism numbers. We're very appreciative of what we see from India and China, but Saudi could join as a much bigger tourism partner for Thailand than the United States or even the EU.
On the tourism front, there's so many people coming in. Do we have the infrastructure to support?
Well, that's another problem. There's a tremendous amount of overcrowding on a lot of our infrastructure in Thailand, and that's one of the things that the government is addressing, but it will continue to be a major factor. When we see so many tourists coming in from China, and a lot of them are, to some of these destinations, are lower cost travelers. And therefore, they're putting a lot of impact on some of our infrastructure, tourism infrastructure, national parks, diving in the Similan Islands and things of that nature. So that's resulted in the government taking a lot of steps to try to preserve some of the spots that we have.
The other issue, of course, has been around the peak season with pollution. What needs to be done there?
With peak season, sorry.
Pollution.
Pollution. Well, that's another topic. If we look at Chiang Mai, we know that they've got incredible challenges with pollution, usually at the end of the year, which is the peak season for them. And we haven't seen any answers in sight for that. We've seen pollution even as impacting places like Phuket, when the pollution has come up from Indonesia. When they're burning the crops, we see it in the north, and that's one of the things that I haven't seen any solution for, and there's not much we can wish for. Our best wish is for good rains during that period that seems to wash the pollution out. So.
Is there the need for more interaction between the government and business and industry groups, those with the stake in the industry, to come up with long-term planning for the industry overall, not just pollution, but for everything? Is there enough being done there?
Thailand is very proactive. We have, and certainly I think this government recognizes the importance of tourism on the economy, and they are continuing to address the issues as best they can. But many of these, are weather-related or certainly I think no one's arguing about the global warming, and we're certainly seeing a change in weather patterns, and that's beginning to affect many of the destinations. So a lot of things, there's not much the government can do other than try to fight pollution and fight global warming, and for that I would say that most of our industry is very much involved in that, monitoring what we're doing. We've taken under our social responsibility, we've made it a necessity to reduce our energy consumption, reduce our water consumption. We're addressing that all over the world. We operate in 60 countries, so it's not only a Thailand problem, it's a global problem.
Vivek, from your point of view in pharmaceuticals, do you feel that you are able, as an industry group, to have a two-way conversation with the government, or a collaborative conversation with the government about the issues that you face as a producer in Thailand and as an exporter?
I think the pharmaceutical industry has a strong association, and they have a lot of dialogue with the government. I mean, not that I'm involved as much, but not anymore. But they continuously have discussions on issues that relate to business. But having said that, I think I see health tech, I see the future being in health tourism, and Thailand is a very large player in this category. I think there's a lot more that can be done in this area. Not only pharmaceutical production, I mean, we produce drugs. We don't export a lot out of Thailand. Thailand's been around in this industry for a long time. But we don't have very large pharmaceutical industries here who are ranked number 1, number 2 in the region, though we have the largest hospitals and the best medical services here. So I think Thailand has advantages in certain areas which it can further enhance and grow and build upon. Research, medical work that they do here, and especially outcome-based. I think a lot of the world is looking at Japan's the center for aging, so a lot of research on aging technologies. People who age, devices, helping them at home, how elderly people from house design to living. I think that these are food. I mean, there's so much that's happening around the world. I mean, we are looking at it as well as a company because we just don't produce pills. It's not about selling more pills. It's about also outcomes from what you produce and how do you improve the health of the population in the country. The most effective is the US. I mean, US has the highest drug bill, the largest proportion of GDP to health bill, etc., etc. So there's a lot of disruption happening in the economy there. I mean, DeepMind, Google, a lot of people are doing so much work in areas to improve outcomes. Not only have disease, manage them, not only live longer, live healthier. So the cost of management is the lowest. And as Thailand becomes elderly with 14-17% people becoming aged, what all can you do? And not only do that, you can also become a leader in Asia and ASEAN with all the know-how that you have here, the type of hospitals, type of clinical work we have. So we could take a leading role. You don't have to always be the biggest biotech company in the world. Probably we are late in many areas because Korea's got it, US has got it, needs $1 billion to develop one drug, and we don't have the resources to do that. And maybe we have great scientists, but by the time you come to the market, you're probably 10 years behind, and then you're competing on price. So you could do many things other people don't do or cannot do or not yet ready to do, and we have the infrastructure. So I think there are opportunities for where government and private sector can have a dialogue and maybe select areas where you have a very high chance of winning. We live in Thailand and we build a pharmaceutical business out of Thailand, but there's none. When we came here, people told us, sorry, nobody will buy a pill made in Thailand. But today we export it to Australia, to US, to UK, to Europe, and we build a business out of here into 33 other countries, which was not there before. But can it be done? Yes, I mean, it could be done. But then you need an ecosystem as well for this to grow. If you want to build more pharma, you have to have an ecosystem, a research ecosystem, a venture capital ecosystem, a clinical evidence ecosystem, and the government helping to support those industries. I mean, why do you think Korea has become such a big biotech center in the world? Why India is such a large pharma ecosystem in the world? Because there's a lot of things that matter. It's not just one company, it's a whole system behind it, the lab, the hospital, the doctor, the clinical, and the education, the universities that produce chemists and scientists to come out on a daily basis to get into research. So it's a huge, huge industry, and now to replicate that here, it's going to take time. So I think one has to pick areas where you can actually create that advantage, that difference, which other people will have a harder time copying. And within ASEAN that we work around, I mean, Vietnam is going to do very well in many industries because of the manpower, education that they have. And today, because of the advantages they have, because of these industries moving there, but I'm sure they must have been prepared to get there. It didn't happen within one night that they had factories ready and they suddenly started to export. This was happening for a while. So does Thailand has its own advantages, right? So we operate in all of them. We operate in Vietnam. They want us to put in factories there because that's the regulation. They're going to make it more difficult for you to import into Vietnam. That means a Thai company has to put factories in every country where they operate, and it's not possible. So I think trade negotiations is very important that there's good amount of exchange between countries as well, and that makes businesses based out of Thailand to work in these countries. It makes it easier to operate. If they can sell in our countries, we should be able to sell in their countries equally with the similar rights, right? And the more you open up, I think the more ecosystem improves, more knowledge comes into the country. I think Thailand has a fantastic model. Thailand is very open. The rules and regulations are very fair from our perspective, from where we work. I mean, we work in very difficult 33 markets. When we went to Myanmar, there was hardly anything 25 years ago. But Thailand is a very, very, very open market compared to other countries. And I think we should remain that way, and it probably improve the exchange of knowledge, bring more knowledge people here, and that's what will probably raise Thailand above and make it more, not just competitive on the same price level, but to go above them. You have to do something that other people do not do, other countries don't do. And how do you do that? It needs a knowledge center, and it needs people private industry to come and actually invest. Because they see not only a local market, they can also take it out of it to the other markets. I think that environment has to be created around for industries like us to thrive. We can do so much ourselves, which we are doing, because of our genuine interest and energy and whatever we love to do. We are building a model out of Thailand. And we have done that for 33 years. Build a business which is around, but we have selected to not play in America or Japan. We play only in developing countries. We only go to Kenya and Nigeria and Ghana, and we went to Myanmar 25 years ago. So we went there early, we stayed there, we worked hard, and we didn't leave. And slowly learned. So it's not something that we knew before, but it took us time to get to where we are today. So I think it needs time. Brand building, when you say Thailand, can you export out? Yes, you can export OEM and sell at a lower price, or you can build brands, and to build brands you have to go and live there. So that also needs encouragement for Thai companies to actually go and live in the country and create branding in the country, have your people go and invest in building brands that are relevant to the local market. It may be good in Thailand, but it's not good in Africa. So they want products that are relevant to them, that make sense to their lifestyle. So I think building the Thai brand also has to make effort in the countries and spend time in building that. So there's a lot that can be done. I mean, there's a lot already done. I'm not saying that we have not done. Thailand's have done a great job, but I think there's more that can be done to grow this Thai brand out. And then probably the China war or the currency will not matter as much, because you're building brand that people want. And if they want your brand, then they'll pay for it.
I think just to add what Vivek's saying, one of the biggest industries for us today is wellness. And we have a number of projects underway here in Thailand. And we've got to remember that one of the things that Thailand is world class at is tourism. I'm not sure we're world class at making shoes or textiles or various other products. Hopefully pharmaceuticals is an exception, but definitely tourism is. And the wellness industry, which Vivek touched on, is one of the areas that we have. We have a new wellness facility that we're doing with Bumrungrad Hospital, which is going to open in Bang Krachao, just on the river, and that will be opening early next year. We also have another Medi Spa, which is opening in the riverside at the end of this year. And we've been focused very much not only on developing our wellness programs here in Thailand, and that includes everything from anti-aging to even physical improvements. It can even mean Botox or other things where people want an instant change, as well as the longer-term change that comes from a lifestyle change. But we're also taking a lot of those wellness programs, and they're branded with a Thai or an Asian influence, and we're taking those to some of the 60 countries that we operate in with our hotels and our service. We've already been world class, I would say, in bringing the Anantara spa and Thai massage to many places in the world. One of the ways that we try to attract tourism to Thailand is through having for example, most of our Anantaras will have a Thai restaurant, if not at least several items on the menu which are Thai food related, to make it interesting for consumers in Oman or in Spain to want to come and visit Thailand. And then also by experiencing perhaps a pampering spa or a spa treatment. And soon we hope to be able to bring them certain wellness treatments that will have originated with us here in Thailand.
If I may answer to all your three questions, can I have my slide, please? Yeah, I think first of all, of course, bioeconomy are the priority. Okay, we, the Ministry of Commerce, we focus on two sectors: bio and services. because for the industrial manufacturing products, we have the EEC, which is an overarching policy already. So in bio, of course, we focus on 4 areas: food-related, non-food, farmers, and biotourism. This is a new policy I just heard this morning from my minister. So in terms of bioeconomy or agriculture-based, we have a lot of potential to expand into different areas, and I don't have time to explain this, but of course you can see that. Secondly, for services, we have already identified potential areas for services that Thailand can undertake more pronounced in the future, including healthcare and beauty, of course, the wellness, the hospitality or tourism, creative and digital content, and the entertainment. My team, we particularly love to have Thailand as an entertainment hub of the world, not only Asia, but I thought that would be too much. But we want to have people feel that if they want to be happy, they have to come to Thailand. That's the thing. But also in other areas such as construction and logistics is also something that we are working hard on. We feel that we have a lot of potential to do well on those services, and also combined with the connectivity in the region. But having all this, this is like a plan in different areas. But what you, Khun Vivek and Khun Bee have just said, we have to connect all the dots together. And in this era of digital development and 4.0, we have to identified several areas that we have to strengthen in the future. We have to change the mindset for the Thai entrepreneurs. We have to focus more and put more efforts on human capital development, do the liberalization or deregulation on improving the ecosystem, and of course the public-private partnership. The government clearly would not do it alone. In all the ministries, and the current administration have clear policy that we have to work hard with the public sector, but also we have to be inclusiveness. So the Prime Minister says it's not enough to have PPP, public-private partnership, but we have to be public-private and people partnership. I just stop by. This is the way to go for the government. I sum everything up in only 3 words. First, we have to leverage and strengthen our connectivity in several areas: physical connectivity to the region, connectivity in digital, financial connectivity, energy connectivity, and of course people connectivity. That is the first area that has to be strengthened, connectivity. Thailand will be the hub of all the connectivity in Asia, if not the world. Maybe the world is just too much, I don't know, but I aim for the world. Secondly, we have to work hard on collaboration. I received many questions about what we think about Vietnam. Are they our competitors? Of course they are. They are good, I don't deny that, but I don't think we should have the spirit of competing in this period where we have uncertainty emanating from the United States, from China. We should not be fighting with each other, but we have to collaborate. Let not think about divide and conquer. We have to combine and conquer. We cannot fight alone. We have to be together, and we will do well as a region. I have a firm belief in that. And last but not least, because we have not talked much about this, we have to leverage and make use of new technology. The new economy is one way to go for the future development of not only Thailand, but the countries in Asia. We have to use the digital technology and all this development. Of course, they are challenges as well as opportunities, but I firmly believe that with the new technology that combined with different geopolitical effects, we have to understand and make use of these developments to our best benefits, and therefore the mindset has to be collaborative and cooperative rather than competitive. That's my final word. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have not asked for my final word, but I'm offered it already.
Well, Bill's got more words.
No, the digital and the new economy, we've got to be very careful because today, all of the hoteliers, whether it be here, the Erawan group with the Hyatt or Minor or Central or Dusit, we're finding that the new world, the Expedias of the world, the Agodas of the world, they're bringing in their OTAs. And frankly, to be candid, the OTAs today make more money than the hotel owners. And they're driving more money out of the system. They have no investment in bricks and mortar. They have no investment in people. They have no investment in educating people in Thailand. They're paying no taxes in Thailand. And that money.
Going to be taxed.
Well, yeah, I know, I read it too, but catching them is going to be a long struggle.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we have to be very careful about some of the disruptors which are coming in. We must remember that many of these disruptors are basically illegal. If you looked at Uber, when it started, Uber technically isn't legal in most countries where they have taxi alliances or taxi cooperatives or taxi monopolies. But the theory on that was we'll disrupt, make it so popular in this world of sharing that sooner or later the government will have to recognize it and make it legal. Today we have Airbnb challenging coming into this country, and we're sure the government's going to recognize that there's a security issue here because you don't need a passport when you check into Airbnb. There's an issue on fire safety because none of these Airbnb have to be fire safety approved. All these Airbnb locations pay no taxes. They contribute nothing to the Thai tourism budget or to the economy. And then as a result, we see, the impact that they're making. And then the government's saying, well, we welcome Airbnb. Look at how many people have booked out of Airbnb. And we say, yes, but what's that doing for the economy, for the tourism? And so we have to be very careful, and the government also has to monitor this very carefully because the impact is huge. That's my final comment.
I guess it has to be balanced because there's definitely pros and cons on both sides of that. Thank you very much, all three of you, for coming today and sharing your views, and thank you very much for the audience for listening and coming. That's a wrap.
Thank you very much for all the viewpoints. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made our journey to the end of the seminar today. We hope that it's filled with abundant knowledge. We would be grateful if you can